My name is Hannah.
And this is
My name is Hannah, and this is my no-buy year. Welcome to another Shop My Stash. The first thing I'm going to do is let you know how I've been enjoying the things from my previous video, the things I shopped my stash for last time. And then I'm going to let you know what I shopped my stash for this time. So the biggest item I shopped my stash for last time was the Jaclyn Hill palette. I felt like it was languishing in the back of my drawer. I wasn't really spending that much time with it, and I definitely hadn't dug into the more colorful shadows that kind of define this palette. These greens and blues and purples especially. And over the past couple of weeks, I have been digging into some of those shadows. I put on a purplish look for one of my videos. I messed around with the blues one night, and I've definitely been getting a lot of use out of these slightly tinted darker shades, like the dark green, dark burgundy. There are a couple of colors in here that can be used in lieu of black or brown to kind of tint the look and bring out the eye color. I actually really like that about this palette. That might be my favorite thing about this palette. Here's sort of the dark purple, there's this dark green, even this one is like a deep red that can work. And actually the black in here isn't even that black. It reads almost like a dark gray. So there are a lot of options for deepening up a look. What I found out about this palette, unfortunately, is that I'm just not obsessed with it. I'm still glad that I have it because there are a number of super useful shades in here, but I find them useful individually. For example, I dip into this color a lot. I just love the formula of these kind of oily, glossy shadows. As metallic ballet pinks go, this is just one of the best ones that I have. I love how it performs on the eye, and when I'm looking for a shade like that, especially when I'm looking for kind of an all-over lid shade or a really quick look, I frequently reach for this palette, especially since it was on my vanity during Shop My Stash. I was reaching in for individual all-over lid shades a lot. So that one, this one, similar vibes but a little more taupe. This one, really bronze. This and this make a really nice, it's really easy to do like a bronzy eye with this, a simple bronzy eye. So those metallics, those neutral metallics are kind of the star of this palette for me. I'm not at the point of having fallen out of love with it so much that I would declutter it, especially because I get so much use out of those really nice shades. Now, when it comes to the mattes in this palette, the formula is fine for me, and the color selection for me is just trash. I mean, there's not anything neutral that's not warm, that's matte. There's not anything that works for my skin tone to set my eye primer. Both of these white shades in the upper corner are metallics. There appears to be a huge selection of matte transition shades, and I can tell you now from having tried over the past couple of weeks, there is no way to get a transition that's not warm from this palette. And that's tough for me because I'm not 100% opposed to that warm toned trend, and I do rock an orange or a peachy look from time to time, but it's not my go-to. So for me, this palette cannot be my go-to. It's more about all over lid shades, pops of color, but even then, the blue and the purple, and even this metallic green down here, they're exciting shades to have, but they don't blow me out of the water with their performance. And I think that if I were someone who really loves colorful shadows and used them all the time, I would look elsewhere for them. I was really excited. I bought it on the launch, the first launch. I was like one of the first people to get this palette. I was excited about it. I do like it. I like having it. I get a lot of use out of about a third of the shades. And for me, that's still worth it to keep it around. So ultimately, I'm really glad that I shopped my stash for this because it gave me a lot of information. I got to know the palette a lot better. I have certain shades now kind of memorized in it as my go-to. So if I'm doing an eye look or if I want to do a quick eye look, it'll be easier for me to be like, oh yeah, that bronzy gold, snatch. Oh yeah, that neutral, you know, or that rosy pink, and grab it out. It's gonna come to my mind more often because those shades that I've gotten a lot of use out of are now kind of filed away in my makeup mind palace, and I'm much more likely to reach for this palette than I was before. And the other reason I'm really glad I shopped my stash for this palette is that my feelings about it are now clear to me. I didn't know before. I was like, Jaclyn Hill palette, I don't know if I love it, I don't know if I hate it, I don't know how well it works for me. Now I know. I know that there are a handful of shades in here that are really useful to me, but that it doesn't work for me for making an overall look unless I really, really want to do that warm toned thing. Moving on. Okay, I put this in there. Remember this little guy? This is the Colourpop Double Play. It's some people call this like a bronzer and highlight, and some people call it a blush and highlight. I find that the blush or the bronzer shade in this runs very, 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 very orange. I use a lot of blushes kind of in a bronzery way. I tend to really use blush to warm up my skin all over in the way that many people use bronzer. When I do that with this, I look really orange. And it's like it's too orange a blush or too orange a bronzer. And to be honest, I had it on my vanity for the whole entire time since my previous Shop My Stash. And I only reached for that side of it, that blush, once or twice because that orange would just dominate the look. It's really pigmented, it's strong, and it's kind of an intense, saturated color. And I'm not that into it. I think I have other blushes that are a little bit more of an elegant color for me. It's kind of like a saturated, muddy orange. I know that doesn't make sense. It looks a lot more orange on the skin, on my skin, than it does in the pan. It looks kind of neutral, and there's nothing I love more than like a nude blush, and it kind of looks like it would be that in here. But on the skin, it's like sunburn. It's just really orange and almost clownishly orange. I've been talking about how orange this blush is for like the better part of my young life. I need to stop. The blush is orange. I don't like it. That was what I learned. Case closed. On the other hand, this highlighter is so shiny and brilliant and blinding. It looks fantastic on camera. It's really metallic. Like, I had to be careful with it. Both of these are very pigmented. But I do sometimes like to rock a pretty simple but super editorial over highlighted look. It was often on a day when I was wearing a really simple eye and a strong but not too strong lip, like maybe a shiny red or something. And then all the rest would be highlighter. And I would buff it into my eye, like I would buff it all over my lid up to my brow bone pretty much. And it worked beautifully as a lid shade. And I would put it, you know, all up over, like just basically all over. It's really intense though. It doesn't look natural. It looks like highlighter. But when I'm in the mood for that, this is a beautiful color for me, and I just like it a lot. So I'm gonna keep reaching for this for that highlighter, I believe. And I will probably continue to be a little bit reticent to go into that super orange blush again. The other blush that I put into this Shop My Stash is this Givenchy blush. It's the Le Prism in Aficionado Peach. And I like this a lot better than the blush bronzer thingy that's in this palette. So I wore this a lot more than that one. But I also learned over the course of this Shop My Stash that I'm not really very into orange blushes right now. And I don't know if it's the eye looks that I was doing or the lips. I didn't reach for this that often. I definitely wore the highlighter in the Colourpop palette more than I wore this blush, but I like it. I'm gonna keep it close at hand. I think that anytime that I do want a peachier looking blush, I'll remember this, I'll reach for this. And also, because it's got these 4 little pans, you can kind of control how orange it gets. You can sort of stay away from these lower ones and stay up in these top 2, and then it runs a little pinker. But it's much easier to get kind of a natural flush with this that can easily be topped with a super glossy highlight than it is with the very pigmented Colourpop blush. This eyeliner is fantastic, but I didn't do very much graphic. It's been like a year since I've done a wing. That's not true. It's been like a month, but I'm just not that into wings right now, like winged eyeliner. So I didn't use this very intensively, but I did use it to kind of dot along my lash line and really darken up my lash line on several occasions, and I love, love, love it. I'm going to be reaching for it all the time. It's the M Cosmetics Felt Tip Illustrated Eyeliner, and I love it. I have this little sample size of the Tardis Pro Glow Liquid Highlighter, Cream Highlight, Liquid Highlighter. I hate it. It's in the shade Rose Gold, and that might be part of the problem. It's just dark for me. If I'm going to continue to ever use this, it really just needs to be concentrated right on the spot where I would concentrate a really like a blush cheek. I can't really use this like on the bridge of the nose and on Cupid's bow and all the stuff, the way that you use a liquid highlighter, that I use a liquid highlighter, because it's too dark. I used it once. Here's what happened. I used it once and I was like, this is awful. And then I was like, I'm not using this for the rest of my Shop My Stash because I just don't enjoy it. I'm probably gonna declutter this the next time I declutter because I just don't want it. And the lippies. So the Colourpop Matte X in Candy Paint, I love the color. I love it. It works better for me as a kind of a blotted lip. If I wear this as a thick, full layer, like a structured lip, it's dark. It's really dark. It actually looks vampy on me. Like it looks quite dark. That's not the kind of bold lip that I am really interested in. When I say that I want to do like an ethereal pale eye and a bold lip, I'm usually talking about something a little bit brighter. But as a neutral, kind of blotted, rusty, natural kind of lip, this is fantastic. The other thing about it that I learned is that it's hard to work with. The formula is really slippery and really pigmented. So it's super easy for it to suddenly get outside the line of the lip, get all over your face. It's really pigmented, so if it does get outside the line of the lip, it's kind of hard to clean it up. I often kind of soften and fuzz out my lip line with my fingers by sort of brushing my finger. And with this, if I did that, it would be all over my hands, it would be all over my everything. It's just hard to control this. And to be honest, that's a little bit of a deterrent for me. And after I had worn it 2 or 3 times, I didn't reach for it as eagerly because it felt high maintenance. And especially if I was rushing in the morning, I have so many other lip products that are easier to work with. So I didn't stop using it, I just found that I was only reaching for it when I felt like I had the time. So yeah, I'm glad I spent the past couple of weeks with this. I learned a lot about this formula and I like it. I would definitely buy more lippy sticks in the future. The Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche lipstick in Beetroot. I only wore it once and I really loved it on that day, and I just didn't reach for it again. I was really excited about it. I even talked about in my check-in, I even talked about how excited I was about wearing this again and how it felt so special to me. It felt like a new lipstick to me. That's all true. And I'm still excited about having it in my collection. It's a berry. It's like a berry red. And that is just outside of my usual color scheme. I usually do lips last. So if I'm going to wear this, I feel like I have to plan for it from the very beginning, because I have to make sure not to put another color on my face that's going to battle with it or kind of make it go weird. I still really love it. I just have learned that this kind of color is harder for me to wear than this kind of color, for example, the rustier terracotta of the lippy sticks. And so that's good because that tells me that next year when I start buying lipsticks again, that I should really think twice about investing in any more lipsticks in this color family. So that's it for my outgoing Shop My Stash, and now I will tell you what is incoming. So yesterday was our weekly photo shoot for Poema, my clothing brand, and I'm the model, so I put on a full glam look and went in and modeled the clothes. And I decided to loosely imitate one of my favorite, all-time favorite ever YouTube tutorials, which is Sam Chapman's tutorial called 70s Inspired Makeup Therapy. It's from last year, and I'll definitely link it down below. It's like a really, really smoky chartreuse eye. And I have some chartreuse shadows. So these are the shadows I used. I have this Colourpop Super Shock in Telepathy, and I really, really love this color. Can you even? Can you even? It's beaming from all the way back here. Look at that. I haven't swatched right here. Yeah. Oh my Lord. So I had this like all over my lid, and then I also used my really amazing, the amazing gold that's in this Marc Jacobs palette. I used that also to kind of set the Super Shock in a couple of places. Yeah, the Marc Jacobs is more gold, less green, but they worked really well together. They're very close. I will insert a picture of the look that I did. It was super fun. I've been enjoying following tutorials. I haven't done that very much in the past. I've learned a lot about how to do makeup from watching beauty gurus, but then when I sit down, I make it up myself. This time I watched the tutorial very closely all at once, and then I went and did the look. So I wasn't following step by step, and that's partly why my look ended up so different. It's like a lot less smoky than hers. It's less editorial, a little bit more glamour. I also dabbed on a tiny bit of glitter because I really wanted the inner corners of the eye to pop. Mine's much more sort of sparkly gold rather than like smoky, grungy chartreuse. I wish it had ended up more like hers, and I'm going to try again for that look actually. I think I'm kind of afraid to go really, really, really smoked out. I always hold myself back. I keep it a little bit tidier than maybe I would like. I really want that kind of messy, smudgy, cool girl, smoky eye. Something makes it hard for me to really commit to that. I keep, at the last minute, coloring inside the lines. But I loved how the look came out. I really enjoyed it. And in Sam Chapman's tutorial, she uses a lot of dark green colors. She uses kind of this dark blackened green, dark smoky green, kind of an emerald green. And in order to get those colors, I reached for my Smashbox palette that I almost never ever use. I barely know this palette. Smashbox Palette, I hardly knew ye until yesterday. So this is the Smokey Eye Palette. It's in the Smashbox Cover Shot line. And here's what it looks like. Yeah. I loved how it performed yesterday when I used it, and I loved the look I ended up with. And I really, really, really want to use it, and I want to try practicing that casual, smudgy, smoked out, smoky eye over the next couple weeks. And I feel like what better palette with which to do it than this. This morning, this look was kind of maybe the second time I've ever done a look using this palette. Isn't that awful? I've reached for individual colors in it before, but I've never really leaned on it in a look until yesterday and then today. My excitement about it is totally rekindled. I really think it's a great palette, and I'm going to keep using it almost daily over the next couple of weeks and see if I can either confirm or deny that hypothesis. I also, perhaps unwisely, grabbed out this Morphe palette that has been languishing in the back of my palette storage for over a year, It's a blush palette. It's the 9B. And I was just saying about the Shop My Stash from last time that I haven't been feeling blush very much lately. And I was also just complaining about how incredibly intensely pigmented the Colourpop blush is. And these are nothing if not over pigmented. I think that part of the reason I really love this blush rather than the one in here is that this one is such an elegant application, and you can build it up, but you can also get a really sheer and lovely satiny wash of color with this. These, God help you if you're trying to get that sheer satiny wash of color. They are so pigmented, it's like stage makeup. The reason that I'm putting it in my Shop My Stash is that I want to push myself to experiment with colors like this. Like this palette is the only place, I think I have Exhibit A by NARS in a blush palette, but other than that, this palette is the only place where I have these super bright and on me very editorial blush colors. And I'm curious to try building a look around those colors from time to time. I would like to get to know this palette better in the same way I got to know the Jaclyn Hill palette. I want to know what's in here. I want to know how it looks on me so that I can have it in my Makeup Mind Palace and hopefully start reaching for it more. I never, ever reach for this thing. I want to get more use out of this, and I'm looking forward to checking back in and telling you all what I think of these colors. I pulled this formerly beloved mascara. This is the Shock in Rough Burgundy. I came into the year with this mascara and I was totally in love with it. I could not stop wearing it from the time I got it, which was like towards the end of 2017, all the way through Christmas and New Year's, holidays, all the tango festivals I went to during that time. And then like through January, even into February, I was like obsessed with this. I kept wearing this burgundy mascara and I loved it. Then I started wearing some other ones, a little more black. I went through that Lash Paradise in Blackest Brown. And since I started wearing it recently, I've had a couple of days where I either cried, like cried for some reason, or my eyes got really watery because I've been walking to work almost every day, and unless I wear big sunglasses, and sometimes even if I do wear big sunglasses, a lot of wind gets in my eyes and my eyes are very prone to watering. And if I have this on and I either cry a lot or my eyes water a lot, it all comes off. It just washes right off. My eyelashes are all stuck together in these tiny wisps by the end of the day. My relationship with this has changed in that I've started to be kind of afraid to reach for it because I'm like, oh, what if I have a bad day? What if I cry? Or what if my eyes water? And I would like that fear to go away. I need to have another handful of really good days with this mascara where I'm reminded that it can perform well and that it's not always going to end up wearing all off of my lashes by the end of the day. I think that's probably true about this. I've just kind of gotten psyched out. So I'm forcing myself to reach for it for 2 solid weeks, and then I will check back in and see if it indeed is better than I've been thinking, or if it actually is as bad as I've been thinking. The other exciting eye product that I'm putting into my Shop My Stash is this Urban Decay Heavy Metals liner. And this is in the shade Distortion. You can't see that. Is that not so shiny? Is that not so beautiful? It's like a white iridescent glitter. So it goes to kind of an iridescent blue, pink, very fairy-like, very sparkly. And I want to wear this during the day. I want to rock some daytime glitter looks. And I think that a pretty subtle glittery eyeliner is a really good way to do that. This has been languishing in my drawer. I have Midnight Cowboy, which is the gold one, and whenever I want one, I always reach for Midnight Cowboy. I've had it longer, I know it better. It's a little more high impact because the gold glitters are dark color and then they reflect gold, whereas this one, it's like you only see it when it catches the light. So I'm always kind of go big or go home when it comes to glitter, and so I always go big and go for Midnight Cowboy. I want to start getting to know this and seeing what it can do. In the same vein, the glitter vein, I'm putting my Kat Von D Everlasting Glimmer Veil into the Shop My Stash. And this is in the color Rocker. It's the orange one, and you can see it in my orange and coral lipsticks swatch video. It looks freaking amazing on. It looks amazing. When I was deciding last night what to shop my stash for, I popped this on just to be like, just to remind myself, and I was like, why don't I wear this more? Because it doesn't look unnatural, especially because rusty orange lipstick is a color that I often wear. It's so much easier to pull off than you would think. I can't wait to wear it, and what I want is to wear it during the day. Same as with the glitter liner. I really want to start getting comfortable with a slightly more dramatic, slightly more statement making makeup product on my face for day. So my goal is to wear this to work at least once over the course of this Shop My Stash. I might reach for it to go out at night. That would be a little easier, but I want to wear it to work. That's my goal, and that's why I'm putting it in. And then I have these 3 NYX lippies to kind of round out my options for lips. They are pretty much on the opposite end of the spectrum of the Glimmer Veil. I have 2 butter glosses, and I have 1 soft matte lip cream. The soft matte lip cream is what I have on my lips right now. This is in the color Can, and I like how it's easy to get like this blotted, fuzzy lip effect look with this. I just like that natural feeling. It's kind of like, to me, what the Glossier Generation G lipsticks are trying to be. It's like that, but they're just more tenacious. I find the Glossier ones are gone in like 10 seconds when I wear them. I love the way they look, but then they're just gone. On this, it's matte, but it doesn't feel too drying, and it really has that look of like a velvety, blotted stain, but thicker than a stain, more velvety than a stain, but like a velvet stain. I love that look, and that's what this gives. I just haven't been reaching for these at all, and lately I've been like, where are those NYX lippies? I love them. The butter glosses I have are in Tiramisu and Praline. Tiramisu is a little bit lighter than my lips. It's kind of a slightly washed out pale nude on me. That's interesting. I don't have very many lip products like that because my lips are so pigmented that when the color starts to show through, it looks patchy and weird. So yeah, I'm gonna reach for this a bunch of times, hopefully during these couple of weeks, and see if it's working. And if it's not working, if I get that patchy look too much, then I'll know that I can declutter it. Praline, which is the darker one, is pretty much the color of my lips. This is probably my favorite of the 3, is the Butter Gloss and Praline, and I'm looking forward to wearing that more over the next couple of weeks. And with that, we are at the end of today's Shop My Stash video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel and follow me through the rest of my No Buy year. I'm intending for Shop My Stash to become a continuous rolling series in which I review the past products and get the new products every couple of weeks. I hope you'll leave me a comment letting me know what you've been shopping your stash for lately, what you've been loving from your own collection, and I hope you'll take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.